I'm just going to ask, I guess, a couple of questions, and then we can open it up to the audience, so it's not just me speaking.
Who will ask the question?
Me?
Okay.
Unless you want to ask me a question. So it's interesting, and it's something you mentioned briefly in the introduction, that it's the first time you did a contemporary, like present-day film. So can you talk about how that came about, and why did you decide to go into the contemporary?
I don't know, it's simple. I mean, I was a little bit tired of doing films about the period films or about the past, so I decided to do something about our times. I don't know, it's natural also. But at the same time, I knew it should be a French film with French subject, French stars, and because of production reasons, and I like it also, so there was no problem. But I didn't want to shoot in, I don't know, in continental France. I thought it would be a little bit boring. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't ready for it. I didn't...
I don't think they were ready for it either.
No. I didn't know how to make it interesting. I mean, I didn't have any idea, so I said, okay, let's do it, but we'll do it in the, Outremer, Dom-Tom territories, there must be some, and it will be more artificial and more crazy, and okay. So I started to think about one place, and I said, Tahiti, maybe it's the most iconic one of all these territories of Outremer. No, French Outremer, and I don't know. I started to think about it. I read the autobiography of Marlon Brando's wife. That she was from there, and she was talking about her own life and about I don't know, the transformation of the island. Since the 40s to the 70s because of several reasons. Of course, the nuclear test one, but also Hollywood and tourism and all these things. So I like the idea of, let's go there and see what's going on. And this idea of the other side of the paradise, of course, of a little bit of decadent atmosphere that I didn't know if it was real or not, but I felt that it could be, quite interesting to check. And at the same time, as it was a colony or ex-colony, somehow, I thought that most of the problems not problems, but most of the tensions we are facing there in all these places were more visible or more visually interesting, more graphic, because everything is more extreme somehow. So I said, let's go there and see what's going on. But at the same time, I didn't have any, but the main idea was to avoid all cliches. So to be really with all, the free mind, and I didn't care about anything social. In fact, the word social was very important on the edit, because when we were editing the film and there was an image, one single image that the flavor of social, was penetrating or was inside the image, that no, out. Was really the idea of making some kind of a pure, artificial, extremely, dream-like, film. No connection. And we were lucky because, in fact, during the shooting was lockdown there, total lockdown. We were allowed to shoot, but so a little bit this dreamy side of the film, I think it corresponds with my initial idea of, and of course, this artificial side of, having a postcard, very, a postcard of the place with all the colors, for example, is saturated, and even with unreal colors, the rosé and the strange reds, and it's not real, the colors of. So we push really on this artificial, like, I don't know, in a Minelli film or Brigadon or whatever. But to combine this, and this was something I knew from my previous films, and I am very used to it, with a very rough and wild performance of actors. Yeah. So this was the contrast, and what for me was really challenging, and I knew I will get it somehow. But, the gap between the artificiality or the arbitrary side of the plot and all the craziness and the absurdity and the artificial side of the visuals should match with the extreme, almost I would say, not wild or rough, but hyper-realistic, even, a machine-like way of performing of the actors, but in a very strange that even me as an editor now, you know, I edit the film, and but, you know, it surprised me somehow. So I wanted to really, you know, make these two things, put these two layers of very different tonalities or very different atmospheres together and see if it works. Of course, with a little bit of narrative and plot, what is also new from my previous films, and I don't know, and see if it can work with the idea I said at the beginning in the presentation, you know, to make something different, to make something that it's worth to go to the cinema, that you cannot find it anywhere else, because it's full of difficult moments somehow. You know, okay, it's an easy film, people say, compared it with my previous ones, but still, you know, anticlimax moments, you know, dialogues that are on the edge of not, you know, being very connected with the plot, extreme ambiguity on the characters, you know, a lot of things that if you are at home with a platform, switch off, you know. It puts you, simply you change, you go to check your mobile, you go to cooking, or, you know, you go to the kitchen, you do whatever you want to escape the problems, you know. So, but when you are in the cinema, and, you know, and you have to face this, and what you will do, you are here, you will go out. No, you know what you are going to see. I mean, there is some problems, but there is a, I mean, the images impose you something that has a reason, it has a logic, inner logic, that is the inner, you know, formal logic of the film. So you stay there, and okay, you suffer or you enjoy or whatever it is, but yeah, but you are there. I mean, and you want to feel this experience of something that it's simply that it's not you who decides, it's the film, you know, and the film has its logic, and even its logic that, as I said, and it's one of the key points to avoid cliché, is that it even escapes to my own control, you know. So I think that it's worth the experience and the challenge to discover something. And for me, doing the film was this challenge to really, you know, well, I mean, to do it is because I am interested in how the result will look like. So, and I don't know, this was the main thing. Of course, then there is, can talk about it, there is a lot of problems with directing actors, and not problems, but some tricky points. Yeah, and of course, and some decisions, and you know, mix of atmospheres, and the humoristic side of the film, and a lot of things, no, that you have to make it more complex, in fact. But yeah, I don't know. The challenge was this one at the beginning, to mix the artificial side of because the story, even the plot, is absurd almost. You know, when you see that, okay, there is a submarine that will, you know, go up to pick up prostitutes. You know how much it cost? You know, it will cost $500,000, you know, dollars, just the fuel to go up. You know, it's absurd, and, you know, this will be the proof that they will make the test. And, you know, and when a submarine has to be down the water, you know, in order not to be, you know, scanned by the radars of the enemies, so it's completely absurd, or, you know, or I don't know, it's that the admiral of a fleet of submarines is there looking for drugs or young guys, or, you know, it's everything, it's unbelievable somehow. And I don't know, even the character of Magimel, I don't know, everything, I mean, but somehow, because of the performance of actors, as I said before, it became hypnotic. Because, and this is a little bit the key point, this hyper-realistic tone, that, you know, it's like a machine. Magimel is like a machine performing, you know, there is no vulnerability. Even if to get this point, you know, I was playing with the vulnerability in general of actors. But when you see the result, it looks like that it's not vulnerable, you know. So he's perfectly in control of the situation as an actor or even as a character. You know, it's quite mixed. It's mixed. So, but at the end, you know, the key point of everything is that he's vulnerable, in fact, because, you know, and we can talk about that, because of the methodology of the shooting, he doesn't know anything, you know. He's really performing something very mysterious because of that, because he's very concentrated and very precise, but at the same time without direction, without meanings. Nobody knows where we are going, in fact. Well, it's a long, we can...
You know where you're going.
I don't know. No, because it's the methodology. I mean, we have 3 cameras. All my system is based with 2 concepts. The concept of, vulnerability of actors, making them lose control of their own image. The idea that, to reach some kind of new innocence. How do you get new innocence, and how can you, really achieve a point where something pure appears with all the, I don't know, the sophistication we have in mind making films? You have to really push them, put a lot of pressure, and in my case it's with non-communication. I never talk about them, nobody reads the script, nobody knows anything, even the technicians. So put a lot of pressure on them. 3 cameras, always, small cameras. This case was Blackmagic Pocket, and there was only 3 operators, cinematographer that operates 1 camera and 2 camera. So with zoom lenses, so it means that the actors don't know what they are shooting or why. Yeah, and they cannot communicate with the cameras. It's impossible. I mean, you cannot control what the cameras are doing. So the principle that you apply such pressure, and that inevitably they are fucked. I mean, they lose control of their image. They cannot control, they cannot communicate with 1 camera, they cannot give something, under control. It's impossible.
There is nothing fake.
Yeah, there is nothing fake, and the camera is picking up, they are all the time shooting, there is no, cut, or there is no, they don't know, the borders between life and representation are totally blurred. So, and they lose hope of controlling. Somehow and then...
They give up.
Yeah, they give up, because it's impossible. It's impossible, you cannot do it. The director is not talking to you, nobody read the script, there is 3 cameras shooting all the time, and you are a famous actor, or you're a serious person, so you want to do it good. I mean, you want to be precise, you want to be concentrated, you want to deliver something remarkable. So you do your best, but without, real, but So then, at this point, somehow, with this extreme vulnerability, because they lose control of their image, and some strange innocence appears again. And it's the only way I found in my life to and this is the first principle. And then if you mix this with the idea that the cameras will record something that it's not visible to the human eyes. This was something that it came very clear from the beginning of my career, especially with digital technology, not only in the cameras, that it's very important, but also with the edit, that most of the qualities of my films, most of the interesting things I got, it's not visible during the shooting. It's impossible. So for me, it has no sense to worry about, I have the setup, I have a casting, I have the decors, I have the costumes, I have, things I rely on, more or less, and then, we'll see what happens. And because the camera, if I make a close-up, I don't know, just to put an example to make it understand, because it's very easy to understand, and I really don't understand, sorry to repeat, but how the other filmmakers don't see this, is that, I don't know if I do a close-up of you, for example, a camera, 20 minute close-up of you, your face, Camera has, camera eye, the eye of the camera has, will be there, focus, without being tired, without listening the sound, without looking at something else, without having ideas. No, it will point on you 20 minutes without being tired, blah, blah, blah. So me, as a director, my own eyes as a human being, I will get tired somehow, 20 minutes. I will not be all the time with the same concentration. I will hear the sound. I will have ideas. I will, I don't know, I will watch, what is behind you, but the camera, no. So it's impossible. It's totally impossible for me on real time during the shooting to really assess what's going on in your face. Then, I do you know, I have this material on the computer, and then I said, okay, let's watch it, you know, I watched this, you know, in a calm way. I said, look at here. Here there is 40 seconds that she looks like interesting. She looks very sad, but in a very intense way. And something transforms in, but it's very sweet, or here it's very light, and, but here it, you know, I can analyze and really, you know, check the good moments or the relevant moments of, you know, these 20 minutes. So what can I do there in the shooting? It's absurd, you know. It's so subtle that, you know, I have no tools to deal with it. No, really. And, okay, my eyes are very good, human eyes, for, I don't know, for aesthetic, good, to decide good compositions. You know, camera has not taste. You know, the eye of the camera. My eyes have good taste, can predict movements, can predict things. So they are good for some intuitive things. But to assess, you know, the quality of the material or to react, it's absurd. So the whole film, and especially in this case, because it was a narrative film, was based on this idea. Again, the vulnerability of actors. What in Liberté was explicit sex, and it was quite obvious that, you know, vulnerability was higher. And, you know, I never met anybody that naked was, you know, less vulnerable than, you know, dressed. But I don't know. I mean, I knew how to do it, and Magimel was quite, you know, strange. I mean, even for me nowadays, it's mysterious. And I mean, I watched the images, and we used several techniques. He was using the earphones sometimes. But he was very brave, you know. At the beginning, he didn't want to make the film, but somebody convinced him, and he said yes. And then, I know, it's like a rock star. He's a wild guy. So, he has problems too, but as all actors. But, I mean, you know, he's a very competitive person. So it means that, especially on the first take, he was very, you know, he wanted to show how great he was, somehow, as an actor. And he was extremely concentrated. For example, in some scenes where, I don't know, I was putting earphones, no? For AirPods or what, you know, AirPods or, well, okay. You know? So, put on, no, that's it. He had the script in the room, and, you know, it was open, so I visited him before the shooting in the room, and I saw the script open in his room, hotel. And, but then he was asking me during the shooting some questions, putting some questions that I really understood that he didn't read the script. Because they were absurd questions, and he read maybe some fragments of it, but, you know, the whole thing he didn't, you know, it was absurd, the questions he put. So, okay.
How long was the script?
What?
How long was the script?
No, it was very long. It was a very detailed script, it was like a novel. Okay, very, very. Okay, No. Well, maybe for the reason he didn't read it. You know how lazy actors are, you know. So, but, I mean, okay. But for me, I never give the script because, you know, it's only when there is agents involved that they want to give the actors the script, because if not, but, okay, then they are not very interested in it. So, okay, but I understood that he didn't know, you know, really what was going on, because he didn't know the whole thing. So, but for example, I put the earphone, what is it, AirPods or well,
yep.
Earpiece, yes, whatever. No, I mean to
hear, right?
Yeah, to, you know, give the dialogues. Yeah. Earpiece. And, okay, I said, Benoît, as I don't communicate a lot, I said, Benoît, the dialogues, and fast. You know, you will hear the dialogues, you repeat it, and if there is a mistake, if you don't understand, or whatever, you keep on. Never stop, never, you know, and if it's 45 minutes of, you know, of a take, it's 45 minutes, and we did some 45-minute takes. So, you do, and you keep on, you never stop, whatever, if you are tired, you go to pee, you go, but never look at the camera, never answer to me if I talk, never, you know, never stop. You know, you keep on. If you're tired, you sit down. If you want to sleep, you sleep. But, you know, you do it in front of the camera, you know.
In character.
Yeah, you do whatever you want. Okay, but he was very competitive, as I said, in the first, and so he was giving his best somehow. And okay, but it's very difficult, because you don't know the script. You have the earpiece here. Somebody is saying the dialogues, and you really have to, understand what's going on there. There is some people in front of you, some other actors, so you have to understand the situation of what's going on in real time. And you have to deliver the dialogues, and understanding what's going on, try to perform. It's not so easy. But at the same time, it's very, you have the earpiece here. This, because I did films with earpiece in the past, very long, with a lot of hours of film. So you have the earpiece. It means the tension, when you don't know anything, it's here. In the brain, the connection with the ear and the brain, it's very close. So it means that, you have to be very, and you're here, So you're very concentrated on energy, it's very vertical. Of course, you lose all hope of, of communicating with cameras because there is 3, and you never know what they were shooting, and, it's crazy. So, but your attention is here, and it's so difficult to understand, to deliver the dialogues, at the same time understanding what's going on there. Who are you? Who are these people? What do you are trying to do? That you need a lot of tension. So it means that, for example, all the body, all the gestures of the body, it's automatic. Yeah. You cannot control the body. You have so much pressure on understanding the dialogues, delivering the dialogues, and it's here, next to the brain. It's not, whatever you will do with your body, it will be extremely spontaneous and hyper-realistic. You will never be in control. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. You cannot control everything. And of course, controlling the cameras, what they are doing, it's impossible. Impossible. 0 chances. You are lost. Because the pressure of the dialogues, it's so high. And then, and he was very gifted with the verbal imagination. Because when there was problems with the dialogues, or that he couldn't follow, the speed was too much and he made mistakes. But somehow he was improving it. Because he was creating new sentence or new words or new, because of the tension.
Okay, but when he understood the character you wanted to do.
He was understanding it in real time. And every time was new. And this was one moment. So it's almost a spectral, almost, this dream-like tonality of the performance. It comes from, and then suddenly, I don't know, he got used to it. Of course, first take of every show, of every scene was the best, because he didn't know anything. So he was really in real time with extreme pressure. But okay, then second take, he always tried to make variations, not to repeat the same thing, but okay, he understood what was going on. So he put automatic pilot, like in the, in the flight. More or less, second take was not so, because he didn't require the same tension, because he understood. He set the setup. But okay, I was all the time. For example, in this scene, it's very beautiful because it's even funny. In the scene of where he discussed with the local leader in the middle of the film, and they try to make, a revolution, whatever, and they try to, convince him that he has to be with them, and they will make a fake revolution, and it's, a very tough dialogue, and, for the first time, you see a little bit the weakness of the character, and he's not very comfortable, and the guy really is very smart and pushing him. So we did the first take. I put the earpiece on him, okay, whatever. I said, it's not very interesting. So, and I already prepared a little bit the scene with the other actor without him knowing, Yeah.
Devious.
Yeah. So, and then I give also the earpiece. I said, Benoît, the earpiece, you don't need it, you are very smart, whatever, Why do you?
That works.
No, because he liked to change a little bit, and because the earpiece is a lot of pressure also, and you get tired. So, I said, okay, don't use it. And I give it to him, but without him knowing, without Benoît knowing. So, the guy suddenly becomes very smart, very, with very great, I don't know, very intelligent, with great, sentence, and, and he's totally, as an actor, he's totally he's totally disoriented. Nobody, because the other guy is very smart, he's pushing him, very aggressive, very violent, it's handsome, and he was quite jealous about it, I knew. So, and suddenly he's not only handsome, but intelligent. And, performing in a nice way as an actor. So he was totally disoriented, and he started to become weak as an actor. Of course, what we see in the film, because mostly, for example, in this scene, I used the second take, this one. It's the weakness of the actor, but in the film, is the weakness of the character. I always, work with the person, that is the real person, with the actor, that is the vanity, the person with the vanity of being shooted, and the character, that is the readable, key. So then he's there, and he doesn't understand anything, and it's super, it's totally, it's totally disoriented, and he has no tools to fight this. And then, okay, the scene, the take is over, and he comes to me, and he says, Albert, he comes to me and said, listen, I never allow anybody to talk to me like this, even inside fiction. He was so upset of not having tools to face, the situation.
Oh my God.
But as an actor. But in the film, is as a character.
Yeah.
And the whole film, it's full of these, techniques or strategies, little strategies. It can look silly, but it works very well somehow, and it gives this hyper-realistic touch to the whole, this wild touch on the performance of actors, that it's, it makes the contrast with the artificial side of the whole. And also with the other actors, very strange. I even don't know, exactly don't understand how it works. So even, for example, the scene of the love, because also the dialogues are very out of... Yeah, the love scene where she said, you will be a lion, you are a lion, you will be my army.
But you wrote it.
I don't remember. But no, it was, of course we work on that on the set, but I don't know if it was written or not. But, it's very strange, but it works. It's very moving, but in a complete strange. This is one somehow unknown atmosphere, what I call unknown atmospheres. You have never seen before in cinema. For example, this is scene.
I have to say I agree.
Yeah. Because it's very so strange, like a love, dialogue or whatever. But the smiles and everything, it's so realistic, but the content is so absurd. I don't know. And also the humor part, the humoristic part of the film, I like it very much. And it was very, I was a little bit focused on that because it was part of my fun. And it's full of, but they are so subtle details on the humor that sometimes in the edit we are scared that nobody will understand. I don't know, for example, on the first scene, well, not the first, but the one that they are dealing with the first time in the lunch, with the indigenous people, the first conversation. So there is one moment where the guy, the local, the indigenous, staying and he's talking and talking, for 3 minutes in Tahitian without subtitles. So he said, okay, 3 minutes talking and talking and talking. The one with the tattoos in the face. Then they bring, some food to him, but it's already quite strange, because he's eating, the others are not eating, so you didn't understand if he's, okay, whatever. And they said, and the the local guy says, this is the food in Tahitian. This is the food coming from the lagoon that will allow you. And they translate to him. He himself translates one sentence, and the other girl translates part of the dialogue, so it's very brief about the food. And then you said, they are translating? What do they did with the 3 minutes before? Did he understand, what they were saying or what? It's completely absurd. it's on the edge of, really, I don't know if it's not politically correct, if it's, you know, how colonialism works, if he was really understanding what he was saying or not, if it was not interesting, why they translate, you know, something after and then the 3 minutes before no, you know? And he looks like, you know, you never know the attitude of him, or in the same scene. You know, there is one moment where it said that they will party in the 13th of July, 14, yeah, in the French, 14th of July they will party in the casino, you know, what is already quite crazy to think that the, you know, the best, you know, the best what you can get of freedom is to have a casino. You know, it's quite dubious. But okay, they will party the casino and whatever because to go against the charge and the power of the charge, and he says, but because we didn't make the revolution, the French Revolution, for nothing. No, he says this. He said, at least, and he points himself. It's very subtle, you know, because it's something, of course, it's what it was not prepared. But he says, at least we, not you. I mean, we made the French Revolution, and he points like this. You know, so it's very, what is this? You know, it's very weird. Really, it's somehow it's very crazy. And it's, you know, it's full of humoristic details. There is one moment that nobody sees, but it's very, for me, it's extremely challenging as a, you know, to understand the meaning of a lot of things. That is when they are looking for the submarine with the torch. They're in the sea, what is quite ridiculous, you know, to look for a submarine with a torch. And then goes the guy with the jet ski and say, well, let's go and let's keep on. And about half an hour more, you go to east, you go to west, and the sun will come, you know. And the guy with the jet ski leaves. And then he smiles. He looks at the guy of the jet ski smiling. But he smiles in a way that, I mean, in the history of cinema, the way he smiles when the guy is leaving the jet ski will be, you know, in 100 years, will be a landmark. You know, no, really, it's not a joke.
Okay.
It will be something that people will study and will say, you know, this was the real cinema of that time, you know, that why he's smiling, the way he smiles, you know, what is this? What is, you know? And they will go on discussing about, you know, this smile. I recommend you to watch the film again and to see this moment, because, you know, it's...
I watched it 4 times.
So this smile, it's so intriguing.
Smile is in my history of cinema.
Okay, yeah. So it's a moment that, I don't know, and you cannot find this kind of moments. This kind of moments, it's quite rare in cinema. Especially in cinema nowadays, because everything is under control, and you cannot create this. This, it comes from very far. You know, to arrive to create this smile, it's very difficult. Okay, it was a long talk, but maybe it's questions for the audience.
That was only my first question.
Okay. Second question.
Well, no, I have many, but I think if anyone in the audience wants to ask a question before we close the cinema, do we have microphone? Yes. Okay. So
there is, you know.
I can't see anything with the light. So just bring the microphone to someone who's raising their hand. Oh, there's someone in the end there. Yeah.
It's not something I try, but it's a logical consequence of the methodology. I think if myself, you know, as an editor of the film, I cannot even really reach the point to understand, to control the meanings of the film. You know, it means that it push in very strange direction. And probably to the spectator, you know, it will be very challenging for him. And of course, we are talking about the utopia of the dark, you know, the dark room of cinema, where, you know, innocence in general, or faith on images, it's what is the rule, because you don't go to cinema, it's not a museum. There is no critical point of view, there is not satirical point of view, you know. When you go to cinema, it's because there is the utopia of the dark room, that you somehow have faith on the images and you believe that what you see, it's true somehow, even if it's very artificial. And you want to feel this utopia, happening now in front of you. And, so in some sense, if the film is not clear in itself because the way it's done, it's very strange and very challenging even for the people who did it, you will have, identification of what you see. It's the rule of this utopia. At the same, you enter in a world that is totally different from your life, but in the utopia of the room, suddenly it becomes part of you. But at the same time, if there is no clear meanings on that, the same vulnerability that maybe the characters are experiencing somehow is the real vulnerability of you. It becomes a physical experience. And this is the different point of, when you do it on the platforms or at home, or because the content is more simple, of course, but also because the vulnerability implies, body vulnerability from my point of view. And in Liberty was quite clear because as a spectator, you were somehow, very aggressed. There was an aggression on your body of what you are seeing. Here, intellectually, you suffer a little bit the same because it's quite obscure, the plot, and, the mix of tonalities and the humor and the not politically correct of some moments, but it's always on the edge, and you don't understand exactly, it's very uncertain what you are, in which kind of images which kind of images you are facing. So, yeah, of course, this is not the zone of comfort, even in the darkness of this cinema. It's not, you don't like it you are not used to it, and you are less and less used to it. So, I don't know. It's not that I pretend to put the spectator, because it's not about provocation. In fact, in the film, there is no provocation. It's very light. Everything is very, you cannot identify a provocation in the film. One scene, one more, it's not the goal. I mean, so there is nothing conscious on the really, so I think it's a natural consequence. I will not say if I like it or I don't like it. If it's physical, I like it, because it means that we are on cinema, we are still, where intimacy plays a role, the same for the characters in the film. So if intimacy plays a role, then it's good. I like it, and it's the experience that, as I said at the beginning, it's worth the $30 and the effort, to live it. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You cannot pay for it. You have to be here and now, and it's me who has to do the film. You will never be able. You are the richest man in the world. You cannot do it again, so you cannot copy it. There is no other way. You can copy a lot of things. You can buy a new Tesla or similar, and it will be almost the same experience. This one, to get closer to the same experience, it's much more difficult, even with a lot of money. So this is the point of coming here, and of course it's the point of art in general, but, and okay, if you call it vulnerability, I think it's physical, so it's good. I don't know. I mean, what is the opposite of vulnerability? It's pleasure, no? Somehow, it means like you are in front of a porn movie or something like that. That you get something physical, but it's pleasant. But if it's pleasant, it's porn movie or, I don't know. Unless it's, pleasant in an addictive way, that is the TV series or the platforms, products, that is like an addict, drug addict. That it's pleasant, but less and less pleasant. The more you follow, the more you need, and the less pleasure you have. So here I think it's a little bit the opposite. That it's like a masochistic, it's true. Also it's like a drug addict somehow. But the more uncomfortable it is, the more you want. But I prefer uncomfortable. I mean, because
I think we know.
Yeah, no, and not only me. I think all interesting cinema nowadays, it puts some difficulties. For you as a spectator, some physical difficulties, and I think it's worth the experience. Well, I don't know, is what I said. If it's pleasant, it's what? It's porn movies, it's simple movies, all the other possibilities are unpleasant. So, and the wall is unpleasant, so we don't have to, of course you like to, but I think cinema, it's not the place. I don't know. You know, every film is different. I would love to make a comedy or it will never be a comedy because what I like is the mix of textures and the mix of atmospheres and, you know, the strangeness of the whole thing. But maybe it can be a little bit more on the, I don't know, on the funny side, an openly funny side. Okay. But it's not so easy. Because, you know, banality can appear quite easily.
Maybe not with you. I don't
I
think
hope
it's something
so.
we need to worry about.
If I do a great fight inside myself to fight the cliché. And all the methodology I create, you know, over all these years is to avoid cliché, to really create, I don't know, to escape the you know, even not having one single image that, you know, we already saw it. So
I mean, also you did the Amos Vogel talk last year, and you talked a lot
it's
about
very important influence. I always said that you know, Amos Vogel is, you know, it's a great influence on me, but not only Amos Vogel, some other, you know, important film critics, and American ones, very, you know, Manny Farber, Robin Booth, you know, this was really, you know, great influence on me, and because it's, you know, crazy people, and they, you know, they sense somehow where there is something strange on the images, where it's not clear, where you have to doubt, where there is some doubts, where there is some, where it's challenging you, and of course the collective experience of this challenge, it's another question, but as we are here, but okay, it's complex. But I mean, it influenced me a lot, and it helped me a lot to analyze images, as it's only possible with digital technology, to create the images on the shooting with digital, to go really in deep with the potential of digital cameras, because nobody is doing it. Or at the beginning of digital, at the beginning of 2000, a lot of filmmakers were really, you know, thinking, this is great, and even with the small cameras, but it was, you know, suddenly it was quite easily forgotten. And then people is, okay, everybody is shooting in digital, even all these fetishists of 35, now they are using digital, which is quite surprising. I don't know the reason. We should ask them. But they are doing it if they were shooting, you know, the unities, the shot, and preparing, and all the meetings, and, you know, I don't know, the meanings, and, you know, okay, boring.
I would love to talk until tomorrow morning. And I'm sure we have more questions.
One last question, maybe. I will answer very short.
Okay, but it has to be a brief question.
Yeah.
and a semi-brief answer. Yes.
Oh, well, yeah.
But now he's going to talk for 2 hours.
No, it's a difficult question. Yeah, no, I mean...
Because he's going to know what you were thinking about.
No, the idea of applying, of course, the idea of applying the same system to a narrative film and that it should be more or less plot. I don't know. It was a challenge to answer my previous film. It was extremely conceptual and closed, you know, very formalistic approach in Liberty. So I said, let's open it. Let's put some fresh air. Let's go contemporary. Let's
make fun of France.
Yeah, let's make a little bit of fun of the modern times.
The colonialists.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's
the French.
Yeah, whatever. If it's French,
testing.
Yeah, French or whatever. I mean, it's not. Let's put, you know, nuclear fashionable again. That it was, you know, before all these things, because they wrote the script and it was all the nuclear subject was there already, and we shoot the film, you know, 1.5 years ago or 2021, yeah. So I mean, nothing of this. So I don't know. Why not? I mean, my point was, and I like the idea of previous films. That, let's do the methodology with explicit sex. You know, I never thought that it could be interesting or that the methodology could be applied to explicit sex. I said, okay, it works. Now let's do it with the narrative films. Of course, it's, you know, it's very light, the narrative of because, I don't know, it's my style. When you really work out of control, it means, it implies that the meanings are also a little bit out of control. So if they are out of control, the dramaturgy of it cannot be very organized, or cannot be very, because it means that if it's organized, you are in control of the dramaturgy, because the meanings more or less are in control. So, of course, my film, it's very somehow mysterious and abstract, and the plot, I mean, referring to the plot, because there is no alternative. How can you do it? How can you make a perfect plot where everything, it's understandable, where everything it match at the end, everything it's, everything it's perfect? Then it will be on control. There is no way. Then you cannot work with the actors this way, because they will be delivering something that more or less we all know, because it has to match, and it has to be, has to finish, or it has to, be coherent in a very, I don't know, it can be very complex also, but it will be on control, under control.
So we're not calling you to do James Bond, I think.
Why? I don't know. I don't know. It's not
too much control.
I don't know why. I think that even for normal films, a little bit of my system, it will make these films better. More, a little bit. Maybe not too much, because of course normal people will don't like it and will get bored or whatever. But, a little bit. But, but this is what it doesn't exist in life. This a little bit. So with me or with the system, it's all or nothing. So this a little bit.
I think we're going to keep
if you think about a little bit, it's already that you think you are controlling how much are you giving or how much are you receiving. You became a speculative guy. So, but still, I think that for a normal person, a normal director, that it's not me, learning from me a little bit, it will help them. Because they can do it in a cynical way. I can, but they can. Because they only have to apply a little bit. So it will be much better for these films, or for the, the goodness of humanity and the world in general. So,
it's true.
Yeah. So, but okay, the whole thing, of course, the whole thing will be better for the goodness of humanity. I always said, what do you prefer? That, that the world, what do you think? What do you think? The world will be better if everybody watch Bergman films, for example, or Scorsese films. How do you think that humanity will improve better? No, just answer the question. Bergman or Scorsese? It's very simple. No, it's not terrible. I give you the answer. Bergman. No, I give you the answer. Bergman. The humanity will be better if everybody is obliged to watch Bergman films, not Scorsese films. If you have to decide between both. Or who says, I don't know, Kubrick or Godard. Of course, humanity will be better if everybody watch Godard films. I am absolutely sure that, the world will improve, and, obliging them. So if you put it on the extremes, I am right.
Thank you so much. I also want to thank Grasshopper for bringing the film to the festival. We will open it in February next year, and we will leave more time for Q&A. Okay. Thank you so much.